Hello everybody, this is Judge Kayla Smith, and today I will be judging the Open Western Halter. How I'm going to be doing this is I'm just going to show the side profile of each exhibitor, and then I will talk about the horse. I'm not going to be showing each view or the tracking, as I've deemed them all sound, and if I saw something worth sharing about another view, then I will do so. I'll start by introducing each animal and the exhibitor. So please forgive me if I mispronounce your name. I apologize in advance. I don't mean to. Um, and then at the end of the class, when I'm done talking over each horse, I will announce my placings. So our first exhibitor here is Don Strohecker with IC Employment, and this is a really impressive gelding. Um, I love getting to judge this horse as he's just really fun to look at. He has a really nice balance. He's laid back in his shoulder. Um, Allowing him to be shorter and stronger over his top line. And he has a really nice long underline, and he moves back into a really nice full croup, and he has some nice carry down into some good gaskins there. And he also has a really nice muscle pattern throughout. He's really even, and then you can also tell he's just super high quality. Ties in really high to his neck with his neck, and he is really clean in his throat latch, and is really refined and short in his head and in his head to eye to muzzle. The only thing I would change about this horse is that in some views he gets a little bit camped under with this hind end, but that's being really nitpicky. Our next exhibitor is Kathy McGaffey with I'm One Awesome Jazz, and this is also another really impressive um, exhibitor. This horse is really well balanced. He may get a little bit long in his back. That's, like I said, being pretty nitpicky. Um, he has a really nice sloping shoulder and a really nice full croup into some also really nice gaskins. He's also really even in his muscle pattern. I just wish he'd be a little bit more refined about his head. But he is really clean tying into his neck and his throat latch. Our next exhibitor is Corey Hall with Decadent Chocolate. And this horse comes in, he tracks really straight towards you. He stands, he locks out his knees really nicely. He has really good structure down his front leg and down his hind. I just wish this horse would be a little bit more level over his top line. That's really important to me when it comes to terms of balance. Our next exhibitor is Melissa Bell with ZZ Talk and Radical. This is also another really impressive gelding. He has a really nice sloping shoulder. He's really strong over his top line, has awesome muscle. He has really nice structure. He's straight from hip to hock to heel. He locks out his front leg. And this is another one where I just wish he'd be a little bit more refined about his head and neck. That's being pretty nitpicky. Our next exhibitor is Lillian Bullard with Kiss Me With Care. This gelding here, he does have a pretty nice shoulder, but he does get long in his back, which I think that's because he's a little bit steep in his hip. But he does come in, he tracks straight, and he locks out his knees. He stands on all four, but he does get a little bit steep in his pasterns. Our next exhibitor is Izzy Hostletter with Zipped Up Fancy. This is also a really nice gelding here. He's really laid back in his shoulder, but he does get a little bit long in his back, and I think that's because he's just slightly steeper in his hip, and I just wish he would tie in a little bit cleaner with his head and neck, but he does still tie in pretty high and is pretty refined about his head. Our next exhibitor is Christy Fahey with Spottin' Artifacts. This horse is very sound in his structure. He locks out really nicely, straight down his front and his hind legs. He just gets a little bit long in his back and steep in his croup. Our next exhibitor is Nicole Zazala with Huntin' a Hot One. This is a really nice gelding. He has really nice even thirds when talking about his shoulder, back, and hip. But he does get pretty coarse about his head, but he does tie in really nicely with his neck. Our final exhibitor is Laura Linder with Gata Bueno Deal. This is also a pretty nicely balanced buckskin here. He does get a little bit long in his back, but he has a nice shoulder and a nice hip. And he also ties in really high with his neck, which is nice in terms of quality, but I do wish he'd be just a little bit cleaner with his neck and a little bit more refined with his head. So my placings for this class: in first place, it was actually a really close top three. It was a really fun triage to judge. So in first place, I have Dawn Strohecker with I See Employment. In second place, I have Kathy McGaffey with I'm on Awesome Jazz. In third place, I have Melissa Bell with ZZ Talkin' Radical. In fourth place, I have Izzy Hostletter with Zipped Up Fancy. In fifth place, I have Laura Linder with Gata Bueno Deal. In sixth place, I have Nicole Zaslala with Huntin' a Hot One. In seventh place, I have Christy Fahey with Spottin' Artifacts. In eighth place is Corey Hall with Decadent Chocolate. In ninth place is Lillian Bullard with Kiss Me With Care. Congratulations, everybody. This was a really fun class to sort through. Thank you guys so much for your entry and participating in this show. We really appreciate you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to judge you guys. So congratulations, and thank you again.